Welcome to my channel. First of all, I'm going to apologize for the lighting being directly behind me, but you're not going to have to look through my face too long here anyhow, because we're going to put some other stuff up on the screen. What we're going to do today is we're going to work on this garage toy that has a broken piece right up here. It actually makes the telephone ring, and it's really disappointing when we can't hear the telephone. Give you a couple of different pictures here. This one's a close-up. You can see where it broke off. We're going to replace this whole piece. We're going to design it out, and then I'm going to 3D print it a little later. But the important part is the portion here that goes into the unit. Those tolerances have to be pretty darn close to factory in order for it to work without binding. So that's what we're going to pay attention to. The portion up here can be resized a little bit. Doesn't have to be exact by any means. We just need the portion down below to work and activate the button to make the pretty sounds happen. To that end, drew out some dimensions here. This is going to get us pretty close. These are all in millimeters. We're going to get us pretty darn close, and then I found a little SVG file. The phone won't look like this, but you'll be able to tell that it's a phone. I'm going to do that type of an indent or impression on it to make it all look pretty when we put it all back together. So that being said, I'm going to pop up that sketch on the screen here for you, and we are going to get started. My primary design tool is Fusion 360, so we've got the hobbyist license on this, so we're going to go ahead and work with that. I've got several different items going on, but I've got several toys that I've made over time, and we are just going to add one into this Matchbox Service Garage parts list. To get started, we're going to start a new component, and I'm going to call this the payphone. Simple enough. And we're going to get it started for us. So I'm going to follow the I'm going to follow the drawing that you have down in the lower left, and we're going to get ourselves set up here. We're going to start out with just a basic drawing popping up on the front of the image, and we're going to start out with a rectangle, and we're going to pop that up in the dimensions, overall dimensions of the box. So that was the overall size is going to be 34 wide and 75 tall. So our entire drawing is going to fit within this box here. It's going to recenter that. Now within that, we are going to have a leg portion of that drawing. Let me see if I can pull that up for you here. So we're going to have this area here. So the overall size is this entire outlined area. And now I'm going to do another rectangle in here that's going to represent this piece here. And then there's a little cutout that we're going to take care of as well. So to get into this next rectangle, I'm just going to grab one here, and we're going to allow it to be coincidental with the lower edge. We're going to have the width being the 15.5 that I have in the drawing, and the height being 30, which I have in the drawing. And then we're going to center that, and there's probably more elegant ways of doing this, but if we've got 34 and we got 15.5 off of that, that's going to give us 18.5, so 9.25 on either side. So if I pull this 9.25 from this side, that should center us. And if I just want to confirm that, I can measure from over here, and that'll give us a driven dimension, and that's confirming we're centered. Then we can continue on this line just to get things separated out. I'm going to do that. The reason I'm pulling this line all the way across is this is going to separate. Whoa, what happened here? We're going to pull back out of that, and we are going to try again. All right. So we're going to start a line. It's going to be dimensionally straight off here. And bring it over to here, and we are going to be done with that. And to constrain that, we are going to tell us that that is also our 30 millimeters from there to there. So they will be concentric. That's going to give us our basic outline. Now we can simply put a fillet on here. That's going to give us our rounded edges, and then we're going to build this out. We also have to take that rectangular shape out of the side here. So we're going to just draw that in real quickly. I did not take a dimension on the inset there, so I'm going to do that here real quick. That is 4 millimeters. So we're coming back in 4 millimeters, and we're going to be overall height on that. I didn't get that dimension either, shame on me, but I'm going to pull it right now off of this drawing, off the actual broken piece, and we are 11 millimeters tall. So we're going to put that in here, and then we have to determine the height of that, which is also 11 that I do have in the drawing. So the height from the bottom here, so we're going to set that dimension at 11 millimeters right here from there. And that's going to set it dimensionally in the proper place. I'm going to pull a reference measurement from there to there, and I'm going to confirm with my physical piece that we are approximately that 8 millimeters. So I'm measuring that up right now with the physical piece I have in my hand. And 8 is, well, 7.5 or 8 is very close. So I think dimensionally we're going to be fine there. All right. Then the other, and I'm going to move some of these drawings out of the picture so they're not quite so, we're going to bring that down here so they're not quite in the fray of the drawing and make it more complicated than it needs to be. Next thing we're going to do is in the picture here, there are these offsets, and that's what keeps the piece from popping out of the enclosure here. So those are underneath this, so we want to get those in there, get the set up right. Easiest way to do that is we are actually coming down from the top of this notch. We are coming down, a little hard to see I suppose, but we are going to be at 3 millimeters is where this piece is. So that's down into the notch. We're coming down 3 millimeters. And then it's offset 5 millimeters on one side and 2.5 on the other, but we're not quite ready to worry about that part yet. So we are coming down 3 millimeters. So I'm going to grab this box here. I'm going to drag it out over here. So we're going to be touching both sides, and it's going to be 3 millimeters tall. So now that's where our offset's going to be. So it's going to get pushed and pulled front and back to get our dimensions we need. And that is essentially the heart of the drawing. We can finish this sketch. Now we get this really goofy looking bunch of boxes. What we're going to do here is take a look, and we're going to deal with my rectangle first here, because that's going to be the part that goes down below. And take a peek here. This is 9 millimeters overall, but the bottom piece is only 5 millimeters wide. So we're going to raise all of this up 5 millimeters up to here. And then when we do the top piece, we're going to pull that out 9. And we are going to grab that now. So we're going to extrude these 3 portions. And if you want to see the direction we're going to extrude them, we're going to pull it up. And that's going to want to send it to the back. Just because I'm used to thinking in the opposite direction, we're going to have it pull it forward. So we're going to do a negative dimension there, so it pulls it forward, and that's going to be our 5 millimeters. Now, as you can see, it has pulled up that 5 millimeters, and now we have our base object, and this is the portion that's going to be down below that blue section and holding everything together. We're going to get our sketches back, because as soon as you do an extrude, it'll automatically hide the sketch unless you tell it not to. And then we have to take care of this portion here, because remember, this area here is going to be that little lip that's going to keep it from popping out of the machine. So we are going to do another extrusion, and we're going to grab the dimension on the back side, because that's where the drawing is hiding. And we are going to do an offset, and we're going to offset, we're going to go from the object. So we're going to go from the far side of the object. And again, we're going to go a negative distance. I want to make sure we're pulling this right. So that's going to be the 2.5 millimeters that we're going to pull it. And because we're going negative again, in order to get it to pop out, we have to go negative dimension. So that's going to get us this portion here. If I get rid of the sketch here and just take a look, now you can see that is the view of what's going to be underneath on the one side. Then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do another extrusion. We're going to put that sketch back up. And another extrusion, grab that same piece here, and this time we have to pull it out 5 millimeters. And that's going to add it to the back there. So right now, this is going to be the portion that's down below the blue piece. Oh, wrong drawing. Let's get that for you. Right down in here. So that's what keeps the whole thing from popping up. I'm going to get back to the front view on this so we're oriented properly again. And next piece we can do, pull that sketch back up, and now we can do the larger area. So we're going to grab this and do an extrusion. In this case, it was going to be the 9 millimeters that we were talking about before. And it's going to be the -9 because we want it to pull to the front. And to verify we got that right, we can see how it is sticking out the front more. So the back surface is going to be a straight line other than our locking peg there. And then we're going to have the large portion up front. Okay, now functionally, this would really be all we need to do. If I printed this piece out, it would work. We could push on the top, it would push down on the button down below, and it would function. Sure doesn't look like a phone though. So next step we're going to take is to get a bit of a phone image on here. And like I said, I grabbed a SVG in the free library, and we're going to see if we can get that to show up on there nice. And I'll do that when I get back. All right, so before we actually put the image on here, I do want to take care of some of this rounding. So we got tight square corners there. Kid's toy, we don't want any edges like that, and you know, it's not all that aesthetically pleasing. Easiest thing to do here is we're going to do some chamfering, some filleting, and we're going to grab each of the external corners. What's existing right now is they are 10 millimeters on 10 millimeter radius on the existing. We're going to see if it accepts that. It does look like it's going to, and actually that turns out to look pretty nice. So now we've got that shape that we had in our picture. We've got that rounded edges there. The inside, again, we know it's going to look different, and that's fine. But we got the outside dimensions where we want them to be. So now we're going to see if it's going to let us get this SVG in here. And I have it hiding. We're going to see if it pops it in nice. And we are going to put it on that surface. And it is way over here. So here we go. So we're going to move it. And it's pretty large. So we're going to shrink that thing down. We're going to scale it at, oh, I don't know, 40%. And maybe we're going to scale it down another 10%. So we'll scale it at 30%. Yeah, it did 30% of the last 40%. And that gets me all the time. So now if we do 3, that gets us up too large. So if we do 1, again, our size is going to be goofy. But if we do maybe a 0.8, that's getting us a lot closer. And yes, I know it looks like a phone booth inside of a phone booth, but you know what? You get that image of the telephone cord, everything there. I think we do another 0.8, and it wasn't quite where I wanted it to go. We're gonna come in here. No, sorry, not what I wanted. Come on, SVG. Yeah, we're going to back out of this a little bit. And see if we can redo that. Get rid of the body. I'm only working with the SVG. And we are going to blow that away and start over because it doesn't always work right the first time, as you can see. I'm going to go back in, do this over again. Was not looking for that. Go away. We're looking for an SVG from my pop it in here. It'll be on this surface and 0.7. And 0.7, 0.6, 0.3. Let's see how close we are there. And honestly, I like that a lot. And we just aren't going to extrude that into the surface. So we're going to have the little phone icon, and we're going to say that that's wonderful. And then we can extrude. We're going to finish that sketch. And then we're going to extrude that back into the drawing a little bit so that it all looks nice. And I'm going to see which options it's going to give me. So we're going to grab those items and that item. And we are going to have it recess. So we're going to do a negative because you can see the arrow is pointing out. So we want it to go the opposite way because I want it to back into it. And if we do a 0.5 millimeter here, that's going to be plenty. The thing we want to watch for is when we're 3D printing this with the overhangs and so forth, we don't want it to be so much that it's going to cause the plastic, the extrusion, to sag because it doesn't have any support underneath it. We're using a 0.4 nozzle, so 0.5 might be a little bit more than we want. So I'm actually thinking, oh, where do we go? A negative, I'll go negative 0.4 because that'll be the nozzle width. I think we'll be okay. And now you can see, you know what, I'm going to change that a little bit. No, I'm going to leave it at that. I just keep second guessing myself. And now you can see we've got that indent of something that's supposed to look like a phone, and I think it looks fine. That's really about it. That should be the end of what we need to do. The other thing is we can put some rounded edges on some of this stuff. All of this stuff is going to be down below. I don't know that it needs it at all. In fact, it's going to actually print a little better if we don't have to. Maybe I will put some rounded edges on the face and on the back because those are the parts we're going to have fingers on. So I'm going to do that same thing. So I'll grab this part and this part. And it doesn't take a lot. If you do a 1 millimeter radius, that makes those come out nice. And then did notice that down on the bottom here, oh, it is pulling it in. Sometimes it won't grab the bottom pieces because they were disjointed, but look like we're good there. And that's about it. All right, and we're back. We ran the 3D print, and as you can see in the picture, dimensionally they're very close. They obviously have a different look to them, but most importantly, it's functional. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you much.